Mathiasen has been frustrated. The penalty is over. Mathiasen took charge after Gom appeared to get the breakaway opportunity, slipped to the ice. Mathiasen could not score. Appeared that Mathiasen really was at a point where he wasn't bearing down. The Pioneers with just 30 seconds left, and they win it. Mathiasen back to Johnson. Ooh, Johnson takes a hard hit and then is punched. Johnson and McSwain take a hard hit. And now we have more players involved. McSwain with a hit on Johnson. Don't know what brought that on. We got some penalties here, I think. Let's take a look at the action. Here's the shot by Mathiasen. Gom initially had the breakaway, it appeared, but he stumbled. Mathiasen came in for the loose puck. Into the zone, moved, and Blue stayed with him, and Mathiasen missed the net. Frustrating for Dwight Mathiasen. We have penalties with 24 seconds remaining. I was just going to say that Otto Breitenbach told me last night that he thought the Pioneers and the Gophers would meet before the NCAA championship game, although he felt that was improper because he feels these two teams are the best teams in the country. He thinks that they'll end up in the same bracket and would meet in the semifinals. Johnson for roughing at 1936, McSwain for roughing at 1936. Teams will finish the game 4 aside. So again, these two teams could meet in a couple of weeks in Providence in the semifinal round, assuming they were able to advance next weekend. At least that's what Otto Breitenbach thinks is a possibility. Puck out of play. I'll tell you the way this series has gone this weekend, what a final it would be if indeed they would meet for the NCAA championship. We won't know till tomorrow afternoon just what will happen, though. We do know that DU will have home ice advantage here at the DU Arena next week for the first round, the round of 8. 19 seconds left, and the Pioneers will have it done. And the puck goes to the Gophers with 12 seconds remaining. Team skating 4 aside. Offside, Minnesota with 6 seconds left. I believe Jim Conrad will be talking to head coach Ralph Backstrom after the game. There's Doug Woog, the head coach of Minnesota. It will be a regulation-sized rink when they meet again. And as the game ends, the Pioneers have won the weekend series. The Pioneers sweep the Gophers of Minnesota. The Gophers came into the weekend series having won 10 games in a row. The Pioneers have beaten Minnesota, winning 3-0 last night, adding 3 more tonight. So the score, after 6 periods of hockey, the Pioneers advance, gain home ice advantage in the round of 8 of the NCAA. The University of Denver Pioneers 6, the Gophers of the University of Minnesota 2. And we will be back to the DU Arena. These are the WCHA playoffs.
Picture yourself strolling through London, or vacationing in Hawaii, or relaxing in Acapulco. Safeway gas and grocery convenience stores are changing their name, and you can be the winner of a trip for 2 to one of many exotic places. Just stop at any of our stores, fill out an entry blank, and if your suggestion is chosen to be our new name, you'll be the winner of a trip for 2. Weekly drawings for other prizes as well. Contest ends March 16th. Details available at any Safeway gas and grocery convenience store.
You know, I don't like being disappointed. Why, one time we lost a big game and I felt so bad, I sawed my car in half. That's why they call me Hacksaw. But now I take it easy and I drink light beer from Miller. Light has 1/3 less calories than the regular beer, and it's less filling. And the taste never lets me down. Hey, how about another light beer?
Sorry, Hacksaw, we just ran out.
Boy, that's very disappointing.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer and less.
Well, there you see it. There you see Ralph Backstrom, John Harrington, Ron Graham, and the head coach of the Gophers Doug Woog. They're all headed off, and Jim Conrad will be talking to head coach Ralph Backstrom in just a moment, as the Pioneers getting an ovation, a standing ovation from their fans here at the DU Arena. And DU, having won the regular season championship and going into the WCHA playoffs, really not at the top of their game. Certainly not playing as well as they had in the middle part of the season. They were inconsistent. They had some good play, but then they would also show some bad play. They went into the WCHA playoffs as the top-seeded team as a result of winning the regular season championship. Look at Chris Olson, who's done a job for DU. But the Pioneers responded in the playoffs. DU came out against Michigan Tech. There's Tom Weiss and Jeff Lamb as they're back out to receive the ovation of the fans here at the DU Arena. The Pioneers struggled. The Pioneers struggled against Michigan Tech in the first round of the playoffs, but came back to meet, or at least the first game of that first round series, came back to meet Michigan Tech in that game that lasted 2 days because of the ice problem, and they played very well against Michigan Tech in game 2. Last weekend, against the Bulldogs of Minnesota Duluth, they really took the play to Minnesota Duluth and played very well. And this weekend against the Gophers, well, the Pioneers took the play to Minnesota pretty much throughout. The Pioneers had it in their favor, and they win it all. Ralph Backstrom is with Jim Conrad.
And we are with head coach Ralph Backstrom. Ralph, you've won the regular season championship. You got the playoff championship. There's only one more to go.
Well, I think if the guys played the way they play tonight, I can't hear myself talking at this point, but I think we might have a shot at it, but we still have a long ways to go, and we'll let them enjoy the weekend, and we're back to work on Monday.
Ralph, but this is the best two-game series you've ever seen. It certainly was for me.
There's no question about it. Just unbelievable hockey, and I'm really proud of the guys. They're back on the ice for an encore. I just can't believe it. Fans here are great.
Well, I want to congratulate you, and good luck the rest of the way, and we'll let you get back to the celebration.
Thanks
Ralph.
Bye.
And we will be back to the DU Ice Arena in just a moment.
We'll beat the pants off any deal. Dodge City.
Whoa out there, partner. Could you run that by me again a little slower?
Oh, here it comes again. Will you keep Look out. Moving? Get out of my way. Catching up with all of us. Can't you see it? Wipe us right out. Cover us right keep going. Keep going. Can't go panic.
We'll beat the pants off any deal. Dodge City.
Get ready for summer fun at SunTrack Suzuki. SunTrack has the new 750 GSXR. It's hot, it's fast, it's the ultimate sport bike. SunTrack has the 1400cc Cavalcade, the industry leader in tourers. SunTrack has four-wheelers for work, for play, for the whole family. And you'll find many prior year's models with savings of up to $1,000 at SunTrack. SunTrack Suzuki, 55th and Wadsworth in Arvada, just north of I-70.
I'll tell you, the Pioneers took a lap around the rink to receive the cheers from their fans, and a lot of high fives given along the way, and a lot of happiness here at the DU Arena as the Pioneers have come away from an incredible season and head into the NCAA championship. DU was picked 7th overall in preseason polls, 7th overall by fellow coaches in the WCHA. And the Pioneers, well, they proved everybody wrong as they won the regular season championship and then went on, and they've just done it, won the WCHA playoff series. The Pioneers surprising everybody this year, everybody but themselves. DU, well, the question marks were, how will this team play defensively? Is the goaltending going to be strong enough this year? Those were the questions. But it was the Pioneers doing the job in goal, Tom Allen and Chris Olson getting it done, and the DU Pioneers playing very well defensively, a team that could score goals over the past few years, but they had trouble defensively. They made good. They made themselves well in that area, played well defensively, starting with goal right on out, They kept scoring goals, but they shut a lot of other people down, at least slowed them down, and it led the Pioneers to the championship. Let's take a look at the first goal in the period. This by Minnesota. I'm sorry, by the Pioneers. This is the Pioneers' first goal. It comes out to the line, and Gorley will get the shot. Gorley lets it go, and it goes off a Minnesota Gopher. It goes off Craig Mack and into the net, and that really started things going in the right direction. Let's take a look at it again. Gorley will let this shot go, and watch the deflection. There's the first one, and the second one really slowed the puck up by Mack. And that really fooled John Blue. Let's take a look at period scoring as the Pioneers outscore Minnesota 3-1 in that third period.
Well, there you see the damage as DU again dominates the third. Gorley with his 5th goal of the season for Matthias at 2:59. Then just 43 seconds later, Christoffoli, his 9th of the year of beauty from Mathiasen and Gam at 3:42. Then Millen got his 36th of the season.
And the only power play goal of the series.
Right. Micheletti and Chopek the assists at 5:08. But DU came back with the final goal from Mayer, his 2nd of the season. And Mayer really made it all possible on that goal as he took it in around the blue line, got it to Hansen, and then finally got it back. Weiss and Matthias the assist at 8:57.
So there is the scoring. The penalties, well, they worked out in the favor of Minnesota in that third period. A number of penalties. A bench penalty against the Pioneers for delay of game. There's goaltender Chris Olson in the happy Pioneer dressing room. Bench penalty, delay of game served by Tom Moore. That came at 3:42. At 9:57, Mercier for interference. Weiss went off for hooking at 14:16. Richards for interference at 15:01. Hansen for eye sticking at 17:12. Johnson and McSwain for roughing. Those penalties came at 19:36. 2-minute minors to each. So overall, 9 penalties to the Pioneers tonight for 18 minutes. 7 penalties to Minnesota for 14 minutes. And last night, both teams 0 for 4 in power play chances. Tonight, the Pioneers 0 for 4, so 0 for 8 for the Pioneers in power play chances. The Gophers tonight scored a power play goal, so they were 1 for 8 for the weekend series. So the power play special teams, at least not penalty killing, but power play goals, that didn't add anything, at least on the scoreboard. Let's take a look at another Pioneer goal in that third period.
This is the second one, Christoffoli, as Matthiasen, look at, he threads the needle, and Christoffoli right there, look at, he slides it between the arm and the leg of a diving John Blue. And here you see the freshman again, Christoffoli, and again, the younger players starting to come on now in Christoffoli and Gorley and those guys who are making contributions. Derek Mayer has played very well, Matthias. So you're seeing a lot of players playing well for the Pioneers right now, and that's what they'll need as they head into the NCAA playoffs, which will open next weekend right here at the DU Ice Arena against somebody.
Well, we know that much. Let's we want to save that to last. We're going to play the NCAA selection committee in just a moment, but let's go through the shooting statistics for tonight's game. And in that third period, Minnesota attempted 19 shots to 17 for the Pioneers. 9 of the Gopher shots on target compared to 10 for the Pioneers. Blue was 7 saves in the period and 8 saves for Olson in the period. Overall, relatively even.
No question about it. 65 to 54 the shots in favor of Minnesota. On target, 34 and 34 for both teams. And saves, 32 for Olson, 31 for Blue. So again, last night it was a statistically even game except on the scoreboard. Tonight it was a statistically even game except on the scoreboard. And
highlights of individual shooting statistics. We won't run down them all for you, but let's give you some totals.
We'll give you some totals. And Matthiasen and Gam with 8 for DU. Christoffoli with 6 for the Pioneers. And then for Minnesota, their big shooter was Micheletti with 8, but he had those.
Look up the list.
Oh, I take that back. Corey Millen with 11. He had 4.
And he was really held down last night, but Millen with 11 shots tonight.
Well, they shut out Micheletti, though. He had 8 after 2 periods and ends up with 8. So DU, again, doing the job defensively where they have done it all season. And just an outstanding game for the DU Pioneers. There's the WCHA Player of the Year, Dallas Gam.
Well, I think we've said it all, except we want to talk now about what's ahead, and that is the NCAA championship. The round of 8 next week. The playoff winners gain home ice advantage, and then they'll reduce it to the Final Four. That'll take place in 2 weeks at the Providence Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island. The Final Four will go at it there to determine the national championship. And before we talk about that, let's take a look at the final goal in the period by the Pioneers to really salt things away.
And it'll be Derek Mayer as Hansen takes it around the net. And watch, it'll come off of Weiss, I believe, as he whips it out in front. Blue is now way out of the picture. It was Mathiasen and Weiss who couldn't quite get on it, but then as his own defenseman nailed him and took him into the net. Watch now.
Watch the stick of Blue. He reaches for it, and he actually deflects it up the slot area. It was Blue who deflected it up the slot area.
You're right.
Right on the stick. So it was Hansen who came in behind the net, and as Hansen tried to flip it in front, Blue reached out, thought that Weiss had gotten his stick on it. Blue reached out with that stick, and instead of the puck going to his right side, he deflected it right up the slot area and really gave the Pioneers a great chance.
It was Weiss and a Minnesota defenseman who eventually ended putting Blue in the net, and he had no opportunity to even try and make a save on Derek Mayer's shot.
All right. NCAA. We told you that the playoff winners gain home ice advantage, but there'll be other teams named, 4 at-large teams. Just to review the standings at the end of the regular season, Michigan State won the Central Collegiate League ahead of Bowling Green and Western Michigan, but Michigan State lost in the playoffs. In the ECAC, Harvard finished ahead of Yale and Cornell, as we told you. Harvard and Yale lost in the playoffs. In Hockey East, Boston College finished on top, but they lost to Boston University in the playoffs. So we can tell you this, that out of the ECAC, or out of the Central League, Western Michigan will advance because they won the playoffs, so they will advance and gain home ice advantage. We also will tell you that Cornell, out of the ECAC, will automatically advance, winning their playoffs and gain home ice advantage. Boston University will advance and gain home ice advantage. And, of course, the Pioneers, because they won the WCHA playoffs, they will advance to the round of 8 and gain home ice advantage. All right, now we get down to the selection. I'll start. I'll take the easy one. I don't think there's any doubt that the Gophers will find their way into the round of 8.
I think that's a given. I think out of the Central Collegiate Hockey League, I think Michigan State will end up with a berth.
Don't think there's any doubt about that. Michigan State, highly regarded, and I think Michigan State will make it to the round of 8. Well, we've got 2 more.
Okay, out of the ECAC, I think they've got to give Harvard a berth. They've played so well all year and have an excellent record. I think it's 19-6-1 to win the championship. Even though they were knocked out early, I really think you got to give Harvard a berth.
Well, I do too, and I will make what I think is also another easy selection, and that is that Boston College will be in the round of 8. So there'll be 2 teams from each of the 4 Division I hockey conferences.
Now where do you send them? That is the hard part.
Right.
I think you have to send what I would consider the weakest of those teams to DU. I think DU goes in as the #1 seed, although that may be up for some conjecture. But I would think that we would get either Harvard here next week or, well, I would think it would have to be Harvard out of those teams that are left.
Could be Michigan State out of the Central League if they decide to stay with West playing West and East playing East, which is a possibility.
That's something we don't know. But I would think we get Harvard or maybe Michigan State. Right. And then the others are all up to conjecture as well. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
And we will find out tomorrow afternoon late. The selection committee will be polled. I think it's a telephone poll, and we'll find out then. But we do know this. The Pioneers, having beaten the Minnesota in the 2-game total goal series 6-2 this weekend, advance to the round of 8 and will have home ice advantage next weekend here at the DU Arena. The opponent we'll know about tomorrow. For Joe Kimmett, our statistician, and Jim Conrad, I'm Norm Jones. The year continues, and it continues to get better for the Pioneers. We'll look forward to talking to you next weekend from the DU Arena. This has been the WCHA Playoffs.
Tonight's coverage of the WCHA playoff games has been brought to you in part by light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer and less.